Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 3 of Mind of the Streamer. Obviously, everyone that I choose to be on the show series is special, but it is not every day that you get to talk to the current world record holder in the Any% and Glitchless Any% category of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to give you this awesome episode. I really hope you enjoy. Please leave a like and share it if you think other people would enjoy it as well. It's really cool. Again, it's not every day that you get to dive into the mind of someone like this. So without further ado, here is my interview with Danny B.
In real life, everyone calls me Dan.
Okay, Dan.
Danny was my nickname in high school, which is where my username was born.
Gotcha. All right, cool. I haven't actually. So obviously, I've seen the world record, and obviously, I've seen a lot of your highlights, and I was trying to figure out a little bit about you. And it seems like you've been playing Zelda Ocarina of Time in particular for a pretty long time. This is a game that you grew up playing. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I first got Ocarina of Time when it came out in '98. And I was only 6 years old, so I was terrible. It took me like 9 months to beat the game. So my first speed run was a little bit long. I played it like once every couple of years. I would go back and replay it casually or whatever. And then I just started to get into games for speed naturally. Like I really gravitated towards Mario Kart and Minesweeper, like things that had a timer built in where the whole point was to go fast. Yeah, but then I saw people doing speedruns of games that didn't have a timer back in like 2012, 2013 when Twitch started to get big. And then I saw people doing Zelda in particular, and I knew right then that was what I had to do. I started officially in like 2013.
Okay, so is that when you started streaming on Twitch in 2013?
My first stream was 2014.
Okay.
I did some speedrun stuff offline for like off and on for about a year.
I think it's really interesting because so I got Ocarina of Time when I was 6 as well. It was actually 2003 I got it when it came out for the GameCube. In fact, I got the version where it had, I think, Zelda 1 and 2 on it. It had a couple interesting other things, and then it had a Wind Waker demo on it.
Oh yeah, the collector's edition.
The collector's edition. And I feel old now talking about that. The Wind Waker demo. But it's cool because, you know, obviously, like, I think the first time I played through the game, like, I played with my dad and my brother, and all the bosses are scary. And it took us, I think, over a year to finally finish it. And it's crazy. And it's like now, it's like, oh, I can beat the game in 7 minutes and 13 seconds. Like, it's this super funny, like, I mean, if you look over that entire period of time, it's like, wow, I've come a long way. So you gravitated, I think that's really interesting that you gravitated towards games that had timers of Mario Kart, trying to, right, the person who was the fastest beats the game, right? It's not necessarily a puzzle, right? Zelda's more of a puzzle. But then you combine, okay, there are these puzzles which Zelda is mainly based off of, and Ocarina of Time has some great puzzles, and obviously Master Quest built off of that. And you combine that with how fast can I do that, and in comparison to other people and with different categories, I'm assuming that really drew your interest to Ocarina of Time and trying to beat that as fast as possible.
Yeah, and you know, like I'm an engineer, so I really like problem solving and puzzles and things. And so Zelda's always piqued my interest because it's a puzzle game. But then when you put speedrunning on top of that, just the act of going fast is also a giant puzzle, right? Like Zelda has so much tech and so many glitches and so many crazy things going on that just figuring out what's the best way and how to improve it, that sort of thing, is a puzzle in and of itself, completely separate from the puzzles that are built into the game, you know? So it's like a whole extra layer of like meta puzzling that really drew me in.
Yeah, so I mean, now being so experienced at Ocarina of Time, what do you do to improve nowadays? I know you're obviously you have the world record in the Any% category. What are you currently working on right now? I've seen you were streaming some glitchless Any% as well. You've been working on that. Is that what you're currently trying to work on?
Yep, that's what I'm working on. That has been my main category for like most of the time that I've been playing the game. I've run pretty much everything, but glitchless is always like the thing I come back to. And I actually just took back the record for glitchless last night.
That is awesome. All right, so you have the world record in two different categories, and the
Yeah,
world
opposite ends
record,
of the spectrum.
and right, absolutely opposite ends of the spectrum, and that's actually really really interesting because you look at glitchless um, versus Ace, right, versus any percent, and it's a little different. You could say it's a little different. Um, so as someone who grew up playing the game normally, and now you look at the methods and strategies and glitches that you use in any percent, what's your broadened perspective on looking on beating the game that way, versus playing it casually versus playing it how you grew up?
So I think they each have their own merits, right? Like a lot of people see the any percent speed run and they see me doing some magic voodoo in Kokiri Forest, and then
Right.
all of a sudden the credits play and they're like, "You didn't beat the game. Come on, that's not a speed run." But like it's cool because of the puzzle solving aspect. Like when you ask yourself, okay, what's the fastest way for me to get to the end of the game? Regardless of whether or not you can really consider that to be beating the game or not, you have gotten to the end regardless. And I think that's just a really fun question to ask. And you know, any percent, it's a 7 minute speed run. It's not a blast to run. It's not super fun. You have to grind through the 3 minute intro cutscene every single time. But it's, you know, it's a cool puzzle. And then to say that you did it the fastest is, you know, there's some value to that. And then of course playing it with glitchless, it that's the kind of thing that you really want to compare. You know, you said, oh, it took me a year to beat it when I was little, and now it can be done in 7 minutes. The glitchless speedrun is really the one that you compare to what you played as a kid, right? Because you played through every dungeon, you beat every single boss, and you're not breaking the game wide open. You're doing plenty of interesting strategies and things to make it go faster, but you're not destroying the game. It still has that same feel. It feels like Ocarina of Time. And that is a 3 hour and 40 minute run, which is still crazy for how much content the game has.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean glitchless obviously is like how we all started playing, and so now to optimize that is really cool, but it's also cool to optimize absolutely breaking the game wide open.
Yeah.
Um what do you think? Do you think Ace is like the craziest thing that's come out right now? I mean, I've been watching a lot of ZFG doing routing with Hundo and basically flying with F boots, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in Ocarina of Time, and there has been. What do you think? Like, in your opinion, what was like what was like the biggest like turn, like kind of the biggest glitch that was found that really shaped? I mean, there's wrong warp at Goma. There's the first credits warp that was kind of found. Like, where do you really see was like a massive turning point and like really piqued your interest? Like, wow, this game, there's a lot that can be done with this game.
I think the first glitch that really caught my eye that I wanted to understand like as deeply as I could was RBA, which stands for Reverse Bottle Adventure, which is a glitch where you can replace the sword, which is usually equipped to your B button, with a bottle. And then when you start manipulating the contents of the bottle that's on your B button, you can literally just write values to your inventory, give yourself items, change how much ammo you have of a certain item, give yourself songs, delete songs, give yourself medallions straight out of nowhere. And it's just like what's happening on screen is so far removed from what's actually happening with the glitch. Like, oh, he caught some bugs in a bottle, and now he has four songs that he didn't have before. Like,
Right.
it's completely, it's very like, I don't even know the word for it. It's just completely nonsense, basically. So I saw that. That's an old glitch, but I saw that pretty early on, and I knew that like, okay, this game is completely bonkers. It's not like anything I've ever seen before. It's the great thing about Ocarina of Time is that the glitches complement the natural gameplay so well. Like it just becomes it really is the perfect speed game because everything that you're doing with Link is just flows really naturally with all the new stuff that we've discovered on top of it.
So, I mean, it must feel pretty good to be the best at something, to be number one in a couple categories. How do you view being being number one? Like, is it something that you kind of sit back every once in a while and you're like, wow, this is really really cool. Like, this is a game. Not only is this a game that means a lot to you, but this game is arguably one of the best games ever. And I think this is more of a compliment than a question. I mean, the fact that you can be at the top of definitely one of the most influential games ever. How do you view being on the top right now?
So I set my first record in this game in 2017, which was about 2.5 years after I started streaming and started taking it really seriously. I don't think it comes naturally. I don't really have a whole lot of natural talent. I think just a lot of patience and persistence.
That's definitely
Uh,
important.
yeah, I mean, I will push well past the point that I think most people would get frustrated.
Damn.
And I think that's my greatest strength in speedrunning. I mean, I I love having top times, if only just to be able to say, like, just like you said, like, it's such a popular game, it's such an influential game, and a lot of people have played it. A lot of really talented people have played it. So, not gonna lie, it's nice for the ego to think like, oh,
Of course.
I'm the best who ever did it. But
Yeah.
it nowadays, like, uh, this might sound like big headed, but the novelty of getting world records has worn off a little bit. And what I've
Hmm.
been focusing on mostly is just being really satisfied with my run, sort of regardless of the leaderboard.
Of
Like,
course.
I set a world record last night. It's cool. I'm glad I got the record, but I'm not done yet because the run isn't up to the standard that I want. And that's really what I'm shooting for. It's just a run that I can be proud of. And the fact that that happens to coincide with being number one on the leaderboard, that's really cool too. It's just icing on the cake.
I think that's a really, really powerful mindset. It's almost you're not even going for the world records. It's continuously trying to be better than you were the day before.
Exactly.
And I think this series that I'm really trying to launch is called Mind of the Streamer, and so I think it's really good that we went in that area and kind of to break down. So you think that's really your greatest strength is you're able to, in terms of practice and technically and learning routes and movement and getting everything down to a science. You think that you can really push yourself pretty far with that.
Yeah, definitely the patience aspect is where I excel the most.
And that's one of the hugest things. I mean, if you mess up in a 3-hour speed run, a lot of people, man, that's really sucks to a lot of people. But to be able to, kind of hit the reset button and just keep going forward and saying, look, I have a goal, and this is for me, whether it's faster than anyone else. And I think that's really interesting because you think of the people who are at the top of anything, right? LeBron James in basketball, or like Messi and Ronaldo in soccer. They're always being compared to the guys who are around them, right? But I think it's super mature of you to just say, look, I want to do the best that I can do. I happen to be one of the best people at it. Where I fall, it's really cool to get a world record, but at the end of the day, I'm trying to improve on myself.
Yeah.
So,
And that sort of mindset, like, I didn't always have it. Like, it really develops over time. You mentioned, like, oh, if you reset 3 hours into a speed run, like, that's painful
yeah.
for a lot of people. And it's obviously disappointing, but something that I've gotten much better at over the years after doing, literally thousands and thousands of attempts at this game that have reset or ended in failure, is that you learn to deal with failure and you learn to not care about it. Like, at this point in my speedrunning career, no individual attempt at a PB or at a record matters to me until the last split is done and it's over.
Right.
Like, if I have to reset 5 minutes before the end, I'll be sad for a minute, I'll brush it off, move on to the next one. You learn to deal with it and not to let it affect you.
You said you're an engineer.
Yeah, so what I've been trying to do streaming wise and not necessarily speedrunning wise, just trying to branch out a little bit on different kinds of content. And I've been working with some other really talented people like Adef and Dangers and Patty and Blacktastic. They're all speedrunners, but we've been doing this D&D campaign on Twitch, which has been super fun, completely out of left field. Adef asked me to join it, say, like, hey, we're gonna do a speedrunners D&D campaign and hope people enjoy it, and that's been super fun. I'm not used to streaming that sort of content, but branching out is, like, it's really healthy, especially after grinding so hard on one thing for so long. It's
Yeah,
cool
absolutely.
to get your feet wet into some other stuff.
When did you? I forget to ask. When did you become a Twitch partner?
Uh, 2016
Oh
in
wow, it's been a while.
July. Yeah, it was about a year and a half after I started streaming. What pushed me over the edge was I actually ran glitchless OOT at SGDQ 2016, and that I got a little bit of extra audience from that. So
What are your? Do you have any other hobbies?
I used to be super into like Rubik's cubes and stuff in like high school and early college. I have like a giant shelf of them over here that I like to mess with once in a while. I play some piano, trying to shake off some rust. I took lessons for like 10 years.
I think it's definitely good to sometimes do, sometimes do something different, sometimes do something that is creative that you can kind of let your mind float a little bit with when you do grind something, you know, so
Yeah.
hard and you're going for leaderboards and stuff. That's cool. It's interesting. It's like the ultimate connection. Like if you look at like Ocarina of Time, like a Rubik's cube, you know, or like speedrunning like
Yeah.
a Rubik's cube. Like it is kind of just like this giant thing that you need to solve, and there are so many ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
A million paths to the end.
all right, last thing I think this would be good. So I actually reached out to you because you're really active on Discord, and I've asked questions in the Ocarina of Time Discord because I dabble myself, and you're very very responsive and you're very very nice. You're very interactive with your Twitch chat. Um, do you view giving back as a huge part of what you do, as a huge part of being an icon in the speedrunning community?
Yeah, I view it as my second job at this point. Like, I would never. Speedrunning is extremely collaborative. You know, like
Yeah.
nobody can get good without the help of everybody else, and building on the giant monstrosity of knowledge that has built up over a game like this for 20 plus years. And you know, I might have some number one times, but I would have never gotten there without all the people who were there before me. So now that I've built up all this knowledge and I have a lot of skill and knowledge in the game, I just always want to help people get into it. And plus, like when you're at the top of a game like this, you want to see the community grow and flourish. And if I can be someone to help that happen, then that just makes me feel good too.
That that is well said. That's incredible. Well, dude, that was awesome. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about? Or I mean, we covered a lot, and that was
Yeah, I think we
really
hit some
cool.
major points.
Yeah. All right. So, thank you so much for getting back to me, and thank you so much for letting me have this conversation with you. This is really cool. Why I really wanted to do this series, and why a couple days ago, actually, I was talking to people about like trying to get some sort of bigger people to do the series with, is because you know you hit record and people watch you run Ocarina of Time, but it's like I think it's really cool for people to understand a little bit deeper, you know, what motivates the streamer, and some things that people wouldn't normally know from just talking to you on Twitch, you know, and chat and stuff. So, but look, regardless, man, keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully I'll see you in the speedrunning Discord if I have newbie questions coming up. But
Sure thing, man.
thank you so much for talking with me, man, and have a good night. All right, I appreciate it.
You too. Thanks for having me on.